Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious. Back in the bunker. Purple State Party, representing. You know how we do this here, man. You know what we're all about. We're about sitting in this closed-off little bunker, sweating, firing off some streamers, and doing the damn thing. Got some new tech up in here. Got me a Yeti Pro down here, so I hope I sound better. Got a new ring light. You can see it's making googly eyes. Look at that. I got two googly eyes right there. Anyhow, we got a lot to get to. Not a lot of time. Trying to keep these things a little bit shorter. It's always a problem adjusting this mask while looking at a camera because everything's reversed. One of these days I got to get my tech department on that. But, you know, I think everybody can kind of guess what we're going to be talking about. Kamala. I'm sure I'll learn how to pronounce it one of these days, but I don't give a crap. I'm super pissed about the whole thing, man. And I'm going to tell you why. And I think it might make a little sense. I certainly hope it does. You know? But we're looking at this picture here. And, you know, like it says, this sums it up. And it does. You know, she called him a vicious attack during the primaries. You can look this up on tape. You know, she said he was a segregationist and possibly a rapist. And he picks her as his VP. And, you know, he made it very clear it was going to be a woman. A lot of people thought it'd be Klobuchar or Whitner or something like that. Look, man, don't come to me for names and dates. You know, we're about ideas, man. You know. But, you know, he narrows it down to her. It really gets my goat because when you appoint somebody, especially as a VP, and you're doing it purely because they're a token black female. That's all he was looking for. He got lucky because he gets to throw in Asian/Indian into that, you know. But what do you think that does, man? You know, like here in California, they say if you have a board of directors, whatever it is, you have to have a woman. So from now on, every time a woman reaches that position of power or prestige or whatever it is, people are just going to say, oh, well, was it because of this? Was it because of this? You know, was it because of, affirmative action? You know, it strips away their merits. And here you're stripping away the merits of a black woman. You're taking down two groups that you're appealing to, but she didn't earn it. We know she didn't earn it, man. She's representing California, and she got 7%. That's this many. 7% of the vote. I was showing 6. 7% in California, man. Nobody wanted her as a presidential candidate. It's right there in the primaries. Go look it up. You know how I really try really hard to make sure that I can be fact checked. You know, I might just be a googly-eyed little fool running around on the internet with very few subscribers and very few views. But, you know, I'm out here, man. It's like 90 at least in here. I've got no fans. I have no circulation. And I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Because this is my uniform. This is my belief. This is my dedication. But she's never shown any of that. I mean, this is a woman who, and you can look it up, she slept her way into politics. And then she flip-flopped her way into politics. You know? We're in a day and age where they want to, like, defund the police. They want to decriminalize everything. And, you know, Candace Owens sums it up right there. Because that is the truth. I mean, that is the truth. They have incarcerated a lot of black folks. They've passed laws and enforced laws that that are generally seen as unbalanced towards people of color. You know, that's just what it is. It's the whole crack versus cocaine debate, you know. And he puts her in as a token. You know, after she says stuff like this. You know, she believed the accusers. She was willing to believe the worst in him. And then as soon as he puts his hand out, You know? Right? You know, it's just boom. Right there. You know? Be my VP or you ain't black. You know? You really shouldn't say ain't. It just should say because. And tokenism is one of the most insidious things, man, because it sets everybody back. Everybody who works for that business, because she didn't really work for it. Oh, yeah. She's had the jobs. You know, she's exploited the jobs that she's had. That's what she's done. She's not a good person. She's constantly flip-flopping. You know, constantly. You know, but that's Democrats. You can see it right here. I mean, look, there's that little rat-faced Sean King. 2018, he was against them. Now all of a sudden he's for them. He's incredibly proud. I mean, if Democrats were so great, then why does the media and the propaganda machine have to work so damn hard? I mean, this guy flip-flopped right there. I mean, within 2 years. But based on what? You know? He's, you know, dreams are made of crap, man. You know, she's the most progressive VP candidate. All right, great. Because you see where that's getting us. People are showing up in suburbs demanding that homeowners turn over their houses to them. That's the progressive side that she represents. And she's willing to flip-flop anywhere. She is. You know, just like Mr. Sean King. They'll flip-flop wherever they need to go to land on the right side of politics. Because they don't really have any real ideals or morals of their own. Other than money and fame and power. Man, you know, I'm here, man. I'm putting in the work. I'm not relying on anything, man. Totally self-funded. And, you know, these people are propped up by millions and millions of dollars. And they're horrible people. They're absolutely horrible people. And I don't understand why people don't see that. You know, here in California, you know, fifth largest economy. But we're having rolling blackouts. We can't keep the lights on. We don't have enough water. The homeless have taken over the streets. They fix crime stats by turning violent crimes into non-violent crimes. And then they brag about, oh, violent crime is down. Well, of course, because you've reclassified it. Look what's going on in Portland, Seattle, parts of LA, Minneapolis. I mean, these places, Atlanta, Chicago, they are all Democrat. I don't understand why people don't see that. I don't understand it. That's why the media has to work so damn hard to vilify people like Trump, Republicans. You know? They vilify him. You know? Why? Meanwhile, you know, their side is vilifying the police. A handful of police officers make a mistake and we're going to rip the whole thing down. And don't tell me I'm glossing over by saying a mistake, because it's a mistake, all right? We're not going to get into all that. We're not going to dissect that portion of it. That's about her. In this day and age, they're tearing down Washington statues, but they're cheering when the descendant of a slave owner is nominated. What? That's what it is. That's not made up. You know, that's why they go after Trump when he says stupid shit about, like, the birther issues. They harp on that instead of letting it go. I mean, this is tokenism, and it should be called that. And it should be pointed out that these people are hypocritical. I mean, that's what it is. It's just complete hypocrisy. If the roles were reversed, you know, and that's kind of a theme you're going to see, you know. By the way, before I forget, happy birthday to me, because today's my birthday. The day that this will be posted. And this gets me angry because she's a click away from being the president. Boom. This nutbag. 7% of the vote in California. Even California doesn't like her. Even California has seen through enough of her bullshit that they in the primaries voted for somebody else. I'm sure they're jumping for joy now because they're being told to. The picture that the media has painted against Trump is false. Plain and simple. That's all I can say. You know why? Because everything that they say happened, didn't happen, and they've gotten caught with their hands in the cookie jar. I mean, I'm sorry. We've got mountains on fire right now. I don't see the flames, I see the smoke. But I know there's a fire burning in Azusa. Fact check it. It's burning. Because I see the smoke. I know it. I know where it's coming from because of where the smoke's coming from. And these crazy people, man. These are crazy people who are desperate to stay in power, and they have been lying for a lot of years. Look, I'm not saying Republicans are the most tolerant people. I'm not saying that they share a lot of your beliefs or some of your beliefs or maybe even more than you care to admit to. You know? But they're not lying to you. I mean, yeah, they're the party of the rich. That's what they say. They're the party of the rich. Democrats are the party of the downtrodden. Downtrodden because of their policies. Look around you. Where has it worked? And we're going to put one of the leading crazies with another one of the leading crazies. And everybody's fine with it. Everybody's fine with the fact that she's the descendant of a slave owner. Because I've heard people on Twitter and Instagram say they don't care if Biden assaulted 100 babies. They'd still vote for him over Trump. And it's like, are you serious? Are you really satisfied with him picking this lady who was vicious to him in the primaries? This is a glaring token move. And she's going to be one step away from the presidency. We've already seen what that gets us. There's cities being torn apart. If you're on the fence this election, I don't see how you could be. One side has clearly lost the plot. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why in a second here. Because again, I want to, there's a few things left to do and we'll get to that. But, this is them in a nutshell. They're carrying guns for personal safety, but they would love to take away yours. In California, they instituted some BS nonsense that meant that guns had to go through certain tests, and they had to submit them. Long story, a lot of guns, a lot of cheap alternative guns were removed from the California market. Who does that hurt, man? Ladies, elderly, minorities, poor. There used to be some decently cheap guns out there. And, they did their best to get rid of them. They don't want you buying ammunition. They're putting you through loops right now. But I really don't want to get on that subject. But, again, they're just hypocrites, man. They're hypocrites all the way around. They want open borders, but they live in closed communities. And, they just did a token move. I mean, seriously, because of the protest and because of their need to, placate as many people as possible, they're putting a woman in who could easily end up being president, and she has no business being there. See, because you could say Trump has no business being there, I find that to be a very easy argument for myself, okay? We needed fresh blood. We needed somebody to come in and not just be a fucking politician. This lady slept her way into politics and has flip-flopped her way through many government jobs. And when she tried to run for president, she got 7% of her home state. 7%. This isn't progressive, man. This is a step backwards. And only time will tell, but man, A lot of times, the writing's on the wall, and you don't realize it was there until you walk right into the wall and break your nose. And that's where we're potentially heading with this. The Democrats are blatantly obvious. The media covers up for them. And you go along with it. You know, people go along with it. Yeah, oh, Trump's such an evil man. Anyhow, after that, let's move on to a little bit of some more good news. I mean, you know, as they're out there bashing him all the time, you know, this may not be the most monumental signing ever, you know, the peace treaty between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. But, you know, it's the first step. It's a part of the puzzle. It's a part of the solution. Iran's, of course, pissed off, but, you know, that's another story. Like, you know, come on, man. We can't be going around placating places like Iran. You know, they're everything that you supposedly, you know, on the left are against. You know, but your hatred for Trump, man. Your hatred, it's scary. You got to think about that, man. You're making bad decisions based on false information. You know, I'll be the first to say all of these politicians are up to something. They all are, man. That's money and power and all that, man. Like, you see it from the most basic local level all the way through the presidency. You know, Bill Clinton. But think about it. Bill Clinton, guy was so sneaky freaky, he snuck a girl into the White House to give him a BJ. Sneaky freaky, man. Guy might have been over on Epstein Island. Who knows? You know? That was another one of my tangents. But again, here's you know, Trump's donating his his presidential salary, and he's giving $100,000 to the National Park Service. But you know, this isn't getting the fanfare because again, you can't. You know, the propaganda machine doesn't want this out there, and Fox News basically has discredited themselves. Everybody else is just, you know, pandering so far right, it's, you know, they're not you know, they're not going to get listened to. There's no network in the middle that's just being honest. But, you know, this is the guy that you think is so evil. You know, I mean, this is what it is. You know, he's donating his salary. You know, what more do you need to know, man? He's donating his salary. He's not in it for the money. And therein lies the big problem, the deep hatred. We've talked about this before. You know, people were expecting to get rich under the next administration. And instead, you know, they're finding, you know, they're having to scratch the bottom of the barrel. This is another win here for us that you know, I love how the NRA, who, you know, basically gave up on us, you know, scores a huge win. But I'm glad this happened. I always, you know, Trump appointed judge. You know, I always thought that was unconstitutional. You know, people say, well, why do you need more than 10 rounds? Well, what if you miss the first 10? You know, and then you really get to the bottom line of it, which is that's immaterial. Infringed is infringed. You know, infringed is infringed. It doesn't, limiting the amount of rounds, man, you know, our founding fathers wanted us to stand toe-to-toe with our government if need be. They wanted us to be able to defend themselves. The argument that they were writing about muskets is completely idiotic. Completely idiotic. Because they knew what they were saying. You know, they knew, you know. They knew. They went from, you know, bows and arrows and swords to muskets. They knew their history. They knew technology improved. So it's a good thing this finally got struck down. But now, back into the darkness, as they say. Or I just did. I don't know. I don't care. Look at me googly eyes. Woo. But, you know, that brings us to a sad story. You know, the details are somewhat limited on this. I mean, as to, you know, the reasons why and everything. But, you know, the sad part is that's what things have become now is, you know, we turn tragedy into a political issue. And, you know, rightfully so. I mean, personally, honestly, I think rightfully so in this case, because had it been reversed, it would have gotten national attention. And we don't want to live in a world where we have a machine, it's made of humans, but it's a machine, a metaphoric machine, if you will, telling us what to think and feel. It's, that's just the way I think about it, man. I know damn well that I'm one of those people who would have stood up against the British. I know I would have, charged off those boats in Normandy, New Orleans, Gettysburg, anywhere where I was asked to stand up. So, as if we haven't talked about these people enough, this is, what, this is what it all boils down to, I mean, look at that, Jim from The Office. The left is pro-choice, unless it's a choice of healthcare, education, or firearms. And that's somewhat true. I mean, we could, but they do. I mean, they want to be a mass provider. I mean, think about it. They want to end the way we do insurance. And ultimately, what they want is some sort of government-sponsored scheme. And I don't mean scheme in a bad way. I just mean it as how the Brits use it as sort of an outline. But, you won't have any choice. You won't have much choice in how much it costs either. How much tax money they're going to take, how much of that will actually go to anything. Here in California, it seems like they stand with the teachers union and they entertain the ideas of getting rid of charter schools and things like that. And again, I think that's a horrible freaking idea because, if you're a member of the teachers union, and both my parents were, you're in a position where you can get quite comfortable doing things the way you're doing them. And at a charter school where there's some profit, people are going to have to be held to higher standards, They can't be wrecking the product. And, firearms, let's just be real about that. Like, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what we're going to need in the future. If 2020 has taught us anything, we should be prepared for the unpreparable. Put that on a bumper sticker. And, kind of closing out the show here, this is what I meant by tokenism here. This sickens me. It just does. I mean, they're not working for the people they say they are. The media twisted to the point where people forget these things, where they don't hear about these things. Obama had more deportations than most recent presidents. So, those are straight up lies. You worry about Trump getting all braggadocious and boasting on things that he may or may not have done. But, that's just him with like a wrestling persona. These lies are lies that have consequences that come out of yours and my wallet. Taxes, lessening sentencing for crime, letting people on the streets just live on the streets, drug addicts, crazy people with nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, we don't know what we're going to see, man. We really don't. Look what's going on in Portland, man. That could get pretty out of hand. You start ratcheting up another step, and you're going to have problems. So, I mean, that's why we have a Second Amendment. We need to be able to protect ourselves. And, I don't know how to make it any simpler than that. I weep with the rest of you when there's mass shootings and things like that. But I don't blame the tool. I blame the person. And I might blame society a little bit. But these kind of lies, man, I don't see how I can say that. There's far more evidence that he doesn't hate black people. I'm not, we can go on. Unemployment rates, stuff he's done for them outside of being a president. It's a red herring to steer away from the fact that Biden has made 2 racist comments and is now engaged in a token pick for vice president. A pure token. Because he didn't want her. Look, I mean, that's just the way it is. He had 2 other women in mind. But it's funny? They were involved with some of the craziness that happened, or is happening still, with these rioters and these anarchists and these bored children. Nothing better to do. Suddenly take up a political cause that, if happened, would literally fuck up their futures. Like, they really think they're going to change the world with this shit. And all they're doing is making a mess of it. The money's going to run out soon. I don't know who's feeding these people. I don't know how they're taking care of stuff. My guess is a lot of them are cleaning up and going back to hotels, paid for by, their unemployment checks or chunks of their student loan. Whatever, man. But, they're being portrayed as somewhat of the heroes of this story. And Trump's being portrayed as this villain, when in reality, it's the governors, it's the mayors, it's the police chiefs, it's the DA. And they're Democrats, man. That's all there is to it. It's that simple. Where the shit is completely hitting the fan. That's where it is, man. The blue states. Trump's trying to throw it to the people, and they're trying to block it with bail out poorly managed blue states first. That's, and you okay, yeah, you could squawk, because I can hear you now squawking. Oh, but he gave bailouts to big companies. So did Barack. He bailed out the automobile industry when it was failing. He bailed out the British and the French in Libya when the Brits and the French were losing oil over there. Here in my home state, man, we see it all the time. Like I said earlier, man, we ain't got power, we ain't got water. And this guy, you see, I mean, he's the one who in action doesn't give a shit. But everybody says it's Trump. I get it. You've been conditioned to hate the guy, man. Remember, I'll say it again. I voted for third party. I was hoping they would get enough votes that they would be invited into the debates, but they weren't. It's not like I like Trump. It's not like he was my man going into this race. But Newsom, what's he done, man? What's Cuomo done? I can't even keep track, because I don't have a file in my memory for governors and mayors of cities and states that aren't anywhere near me, man. I just don't. But the ones up north of me, up there in Oregon and Washington, dude, like, that shit's out of hand, man. I mean, they're going into the suburbs. This is where people start getting killed. This isn't peaceful protest, man. The problem is that at this point in the game, I'll say this plainly, man. You know what the protests are going to lead to, and you've made your point. I know, man. We're going to do the summer of, like, whatever it was, 68 or 69. I don't care, that crap in Chicago. You know what? Hey, if that's what you think is going to win an election, all right. Let it happen. Because that's the only reason you guys do anything. You just make bad decisions, because every time you make a decision, you make a bad decision, so you make no decisions. Like here, they say they don't build power plants for the environment, and they don't do anything. They don't even take care of our forests here in California. This guy over here, he's going to cancel the 9/11 memorial after putting more people at risk, painting that on the street. Black Lives Matter on the street. I'm sorry, but to me, it's a lot of times it's just math, okay? One thing affects one segment of the population. The other thing affects us all. We were attacked by terrorists. You know what? Maybe you don't get what that means. Maybe you don't feel it the same way. Maybe you don't have that red, white, and blue pumping through your veins, man. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you just don't understand. Because a lot of you weren't even there, man. Like, I can't even, like, listen to the remixes that have the popular song that was remixed with clips from those days, man. I have something like 12 or 13 videotapes, 6 hours each. I'll do the math and put it on the screen. You know? Man, that shit still hurts, man, and he's canceling it. And not for COVID, man. This is, this is something we need, man. That's the problem. That's what I see here. Man, I went long, man, but I just want to say that's what I see here. This is a moment of national unity, and they're going to do away with it. But painting a slogan to placate one group is fine. I mean, that's just illogical. It's just illogical. This is illogical. Voter rolls in LA have 117% of the county registered. That actually seems low to me. You know? All right, here's an interesting one. It kind of starts to show that we're, maybe things are turning. But, the Portland mayor admitted that when you commit arson with an accelerant to burn down a building that you've trapped people inside, you are not demonstrating, you are attempting to commit murder. Well, I mean, even in her own statement, it's just demonstrating. No, they were rioting, and then they took it to attempted murder. I mean, let's just say what it is, man. And that's what people are going to get in Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. I mean, they're just going to have she's just going to have her fist up that guy's butt, and he's going to be a fucking puppet, dude. Because that's all he is, man. He's a puppet on a string at this point. You can't let that woman be the one who has her finger up his butt, controlling him. It's bad enough it's going to be Pelosi's going to be there, and some other batshit people. There's that guy Schumer. Oh, God, any relation to that fucking hack Amy Schumer? Oh, man, I rooted for her in the beginning. That brings us to the end, and I want to sum up what I think the Democrats and their socialist lefties, this sums it up. Socialism on a board over a cliff, held up by capitalism. Socialism's got a gun, and he's pointing it at capitalism and is about to pull the trigger. So when he pulls the trigger, capitalism's going to fall, and socialism is going to go off the side of the cliff because capitalism is no longer going to be holding him up on the board. That's my best attempt if this ever becomes a podcast. So excuse me, but the picture speaks for itself, man. If you are one of these people who doesn't care if Joe Biden walks naked into a Walmart and starts ordering sarsaparilla and using inappropriate language and molesting kids or having affairs or, even using a position of power to attack a woman, Man, it's really hot in here. If you're really thinking about voting for that man, just scratch the surface. Just stop and think, put it in the old percolator and add everything up and try to just look at what happened. Don't listen to the spin. Man, I'm not advocating for anyone. I'm advocating against someone. I want to make that clear. But we can't let them win. So third parties, even as much as this idiot wanted to be one, could you imagine that? We got to go a certain way, man. And, we got to get that message out there. And, the one thing I hope you take away from this is if the Democrats are so good and have all the answers, then why does the propaganda machine have to work so damn hard? So hard. Why? They should just report the facts and we'd all be like, yay, Democrats. But when we look around the country, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis, Atlanta, Chicago, LA, New York. Dude, man, come on now. They all have one thing in common, and it all smells the same. Copious. Out.